Hey guys, Kelade here. A lot of you guys have been asking me for a guide for patch 8.0, so we're going to do a really quick one. This is only going to pertain to level 110 right now on patch 8.0. When BFA actually releases, we'll have a different guide set up, and that'll be different. But really quickly, for right now, for next month, you're going to want the best legendaries. That's going to be the helmet and the pants. Those are the two best legendaries right now, hands down. And if you guys don't have the legendaries, don't worry. This Arcanomancer dude right here that I'm targeting in $1 right here. If you talk to him, you can actually convert your Waking Essence into literally any legendary. You can actually pick and buy a legendary. So don't worry about that. You should definitely be able to get at least 2 legendaries before BFA releases, and you can use these to help you level. Another thing is right now we are wearing tier 21, which means we're going to be doing way more damage, or percentage of our damage is going to come from Rampage than they are going to be in BFA. So a lot of the spells and the rotations and the talents are going to be focused on getting as much Rampage damage and as much Rampages out as possible, and you guys will see that in a second. And because of that, right, because we're using the legendary pants, and because we don't have battle crit anymore giving us 100% crit hit chance, crit is basically your best stat if you have the pants, and we'll get into that stat waste in a second and why that is. As far as for your trinkets, Seeping Scourge Wing, Casquar's Courage are basically the best trinkets you could be using, especially within the Antorus raid. And if you're actually not in the raid, it is possible to swap out your Casquar's Courage if you have like a 245 or like a 250 Gorshock's Legacy. Basically, the 3 trinkets you see in front of you, those are the best 3 trinkets, and with Seeping Scourge Wing and Casquar's Courage being generally slightly better than Gorshock's. But if you have good procs with either one of those trinkets, it could tip the favor anyway. So those are the 3 best trinkets. Other gear, of course, you're basically going for crit and haste on most of the gear if you can. So what that means is the auto attack ring. I don't have a high level one, but if you have a good auto attack ring from Quarter Stars, feel free to use that too. That's actually really great. So then let's quickly move on to the talents. Right here you're seeing this is the best single target talent setup. I mean, you can swap a little bit around. You can go Fear Slash if you really wanted to. You can maybe go to Meat Cleaver if you want, but this is going to be like the cookie cutter single target build. You'll see most Fury Warriors going to be using this. The synergy here is the Carnage, right? Making a Rampage, like I mentioned, Rampage is going to be doing the majority of our damage. So you want your Rampage to do more damage and also cost less rage to use. Anger management, because you're using so much Rampages, right? Because you're spending so much rage, you're able to get your Recklessness up even faster. And what does Recklessness do? Allows you to cast more Rampages, right? Dragon Roar you're going to put here mainly because you really don't cast Whirlwind that much. So Meat Cleaver doesn't really benefit you that much. And Dragon Roar is kind of nice. It's basically at the strength of your Bloodthirst and Raging Blows. And then of course, Sudden Death, free execute procs, really nice. Gives you even more rage generation, which of course equals more Rampages. Endless Rage does the same thing, right? More rage. So great. The only rows of talents I guess you could change the double time and the bounding stride. I know some people also take War Paint. If there's a raid encounter that's doing too much damage, it's actually pretty good for that. Now, as far as for AoE talents, what you can do is everything here basically stays this way. If you're in a Mythic Plus, you could change War Machine and Endless Rage. It's just kind of based on how you want to play against and how your group pulls, how many ads are within that specific dungeon, right? The more ads that are killing, right, little ads that are dying, the better War Machine becomes. So right here, either one of the 2 talents are fine. And then for Carnage is always going to stay basically until we lose tier 21, right? Until we hit 120 and stuff, you're going to be using Carnage. That's set in stone right now, basically. The other choice you can have is between your last 2 rows of talents. These 4 talents, Dragon Roar, Blaze Storm, Anger Management, and Siege Breaker. You could really mix and match those 4 however you want. Doesn't really matter. I mean, you could even stay with the single target build. You can just AoE with this. This is totally fine. This is probably the better consistent AoE build. If you wanted a more bursty AoE build, you can go Blaze Storm and Siege Breaker. You can also go Blaze Storm, Anger Management. Doesn't matter, these 4 traits, however you want to deal with them, that's fine. Next, talking about cooldowns. I mean, you don't have too many cooldowns with this turn setup, right? Really, as a Fury Warrior now, your best cooldown and basically your only cooldown is just Recklessness. Now, there's 2 ways you can use this buff, and both of them really sim to similar DPS. You could use Recklessness ASAP, so whenever you have it up, right, at the beginning of fights, you charge, I need Recklessness, and then you begin your rotation, that's fine. Or you can wait until you have 75 rage and then use recklessness, so that way your first ability can be a rampage, so you can get as many rampages in that recklessness as you can. Both ways sim very similarly on Simulation Craft at the moment if you swap the lines around. But if you want to do exactly what the sim does, is actually popping recklessness right at the beginning, but there is virtually no difference between whichever way you pick. Now, in regards to the rotation, it actually becomes super easy because you kind of just lump your execute phase into your normal phase now, right? It all just becomes one phase because you can proc executes even when you're not executing anymore because you have sudden death. The gist of it is you're going to be generating as much rage as you can, and you're going to be spending on rampage, right? So basically the highest priority you're going to have is spending that rampage. If you have the rage, and especially if you're not in rage, you hit that rampage. If not, then you hit executes, then you hit bloodthirst, then you hit raging blows, you hit dragon's roars, and if you don't have any of that, then you hit whirlwinds. Now, in regards to those other abilities that's not rampage, like your rage generators, execute is definitely the highest priority that you can have. As far as for raging blow, bloodthirst, dragon roar, literally doesn't even matter. Whatever order you press those 3 buttons to like smash your face on them, you're gonna do very similar DPS. Like I swapped them over and over on Sims. The DPS comes out very similar. But if you do want some, method to the madness, what you can do is if you're not enraged, then you go ahead and you prioritize that bloodthirst. If you have 2 charges left, so like if you have DPS right now, if you have 2 charges left on your raging blow, you can put that next in priority, and then you can go on with your dragon roar and then additional bloodthirst and additional raging blows. So that's kind of how you can go about it, and that's basically just single target. AoE is very similar. It's just you want to make sure that you keep your whirlwind cleave buff up every 3rd ability, hit the whirlwind so it cleaves everything, and that's basically it for rotation. As far as for your stats go, I'm going to pop a graphic on the screen. You guys can see if you have the legendary pants, your current stat weights skews super heavily into crit, right? Let's just look at the top row on both of those graphs, the scale factors, right? With legendary pants on the left side of your screen, crit is worth 3.19 or normalized value, while everything else is like 2.68 or 2.6 something and below, right? Where basically you have crit much above your haste, your verse, your strength, and your mastery. Now on the right side of the graphic, you'll see that without the legendary pants, so if you take them off and you put on a different set of pants and you sim it, your crit scaling goes way down, and it's basically very similar to haste and verse. Strength isn't that far behind, and then mastery is at the bottom again, right? Basically what we can get from this is that if you have the legendary pants, you can stack crit, but don't worry, right? When you actually get into BFA and you lose the legendary pants, your stats will be more evening out, as it should be. But just because of how important it is to get those rampages of crit, and because we don't have that 100% crit hit chance yet, that is why you're going to see a lot of Fury Warriors right now, gearing as much crit as they can, gemming as much crit as they can, enchanting as much crit as they can. But don't worry, when actually BFA comes out and you hit 120, or if you hit 116, basically it'll even out more. And that's basically it for this quick guide. I mean, there's a lot of like face smashing right now as a Fury Warrior. As long as you don't hit 100 rage and you keep capping on rage and you keep wasting rage without spending on rampage, you're totally good to go, right? Hit your executes whenever they are up and you're good. Oh, and as far as for like food, of course, it's crit, right? Just like all of your other stat weights. And then for your potions, you can still use Potion of the Old War. That still does pretty good damage. But yeah, that's going to be it for this video. Hopefully that's helpful for you guys, and that should carry you guys over until BFA comes out. And as always, thanks for checking out the video, guys. Feel free to subscribe to see more. See ya.